Connell.
All right, Kelly. Kelly Myers at the White House. We're joined now by Timothy Reboulet, who's a former Secret Service special agent, worked for under both Presidents Bush and Obama. Is there anything, like someone like me is going to look at this and think one thing, but someone with your experience, I'm sure Timothy's going to think something else. So is there any part of this, from what you've learned, that stands out to you as maybe being unprecedented?
No, absolutely not. As Mark Twain says, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. I mean, I could go over the course of my two-decade career where you guys just aren't aware of it, but there's certain things that the Secret Service did to protect the president, hence the name secret in the title of the Secret Service.
The idea of no reporters, anybody in the traveling pool, for example, or any reporter knowing where the president was for a number of hours, that part's happened before? Because like Kelly said, the Clinton example, apparently Susan Page, who was the president at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, was told off the record.
Yeah, similar but different. But, let's remember when President Bush visited Iraq for the first time back in the early 2000s. Reporters were on the plane. He was escorted from the White House secretly to get to Andrews, but then the reporters were told, they weren't told where they were going, turned their phones off. So similar, but not exactly the same circumstance.
But right, they were with him then, and knew, and at least they knew he was on the plane. Like they were all on the plane together. There was no deception there. So if something happened, they would have known where the president was, right? Is that fair, or am I just getting too detailed on this?
No, that's correct.
Okay. The other part is like whether, as the Secret Service tries to avoid, I would think you try to avoid, but what about avoiding putting, whether it's reporters or White House staff or other people that might have been on this quote-unquote decoy plane in some sort of danger?
Well, let's remember, as a Secret Service agent, we take an oath on the Constitution to protect the President of the United States and the Vice President. And I hate to say it, but anybody else traveling with us just happens to be in the protected bubble, of the leader of the free world. But let's say, if I were to do a 50,000 person stadium anywhere in the U.S., yes, my main objective is to make sure the president's safe, but also the 50,000 fans. But when push comes to shove and you have to act on intelligence in an immediate fashion, my main priority is the President of the United States.
That brings up another question. Because of how much action was taken here, as reported first by the Washington Post, what does it tell you about the threat and how seriously they were taking it?
Again, not being read in, but
yeah.
to make that sort of move and to do what they did, and I applaud them. I mean, I watched the video just like you did, and it's a pretty good move that they made. It must have been relatively credible or imminent to make such a move.
It's interesting you say it's a pretty good move that they made. Were there other options you thought would have been considered? I mean, in similar circumstances, or did this make the most sense? Something like this, everybody's making a big deal, the catering truck coming up on the back end. But what were the options that they had to deal with, you think?
Well, the other moves are, there's always, as we travel on C-17s and C-5s. It's not unprecedented. It's never been the president, but I know we've taken trips from overseas back with Vice President Cheney, First Lady Clinton, when we put them on a C-17. But let's remember, if you want to get to the bottom of this and find out if this actually did happen or didn't, the call sign, whatever aircraft the President of the United States is on, is Air Force One. So,
but it wasn't here, was it?
Logs, you could look at whether or not that aircraft that they say he was taken on was Air Force One at the moment.
I believe, according to the Post reporting that I saw, the call sign Air Force One was used for the decoy plane.
Okay, well,
that would be that would be out of the ordinary, right? I'm not.
That would be correct.
Right, because Air Force One literally means, as I think most people know this, but it doesn't mean the plane, or it just means the president could be on any plane, and they use that as a call sign. So using that part as a decoy would be out of the ordinary. I'm also curious about the fact that there were 3 planes that, to the naked eye, all look like what we would consider Air Force One. In other words, the United States of America on the side of it. They didn't use like an unmarked plane or anything like that. So wouldn't there still be some threat against all 3? If the Iranians knew, for example, that there were 3 planes like that in the tarmac, they could, in theory, have taken a shot at any one of the 3, or no?
Yeah, that's correct. But also, think about when Marine One and the Sikorskys fly in D.C. There's 3 of them, right?
Right.
And you never know which one the president is on. And just like in motorcades, we sometimes do what we call the shell game. So it keeps the adversary guessing. They only have to be right once. We have to be right 100% of the time. So again, kudos to the Secret Service for pulling that off. And they had those 3 blue and gold and white aircraft that could have thrown the enemy off.
All right, Timothy Reboulet, former Secret Service agent himself, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We'll have more on this story later. We'll also in a moment get an update on the terror in Colombia.